Welcome everybody to another episode of Sarcasm and Orgasms. Yo, I'm your host, Will. Thank you so much for tuning in. And before we do anything, make sure that you go hit that like, hit that comment, and hit the subscribe button. Let me know that you're following me. So on today's episode, man, got a good one. Been looking forward to this for a very long time, let me tell you. This woman, she is very good. I've checked up on her. We've been communicating back and forth, and I'm so glad that she finally was able to make time come through and, conversate with me a little bit. So I would love to welcome my guest from the Etc. podcast, Miss P. Nicole.
Hi everyone.
Hey, what's going on, Miss Lady?
I'm well. I'm very well. We've been trying to do this, like you stated, a very long time. So I'm happy we were finally able to get it done.
Definitely. I mean, look at you, look so fabulous. I love the hat.
Thank you. Thank you.
The hair and the earrings. Good Lord, you could coordinate.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
We had to get it together.
Definitely, and thank you. So, listening to you, I've learned a lot. I always like to say on a lot of my episodes that you always have to do a self-check, and you always preach that a lot. So, instead of you telling me about you or telling us about you, why don't you tell us who you are not?
Oh, that's a good question. I am not a cheater. I am not disloyal. I am not irresponsible. I am not, well, I will say that I am dependable. So I'm very much a dependable person. I am not fake and phony. I am not whatever you say that I am.
Hey, it's better it comes from the horse's mouth. So
yes.
Now, your podcast, etc. Can you tell me a little bit about that, like how you came up with the concept? And because I know from me listening and doing my research, you started right as the pandemic was happening, or was it a little bit before?
It was right around. Well, it started right a little after in 2021 of October.
Okay. So what was your format, or like how you started the idea and so forth?
So the idea came from friends, really. I was always the friend people come to for advice. What can I do about this? What should I do about this? Should I stay? Should I leave? Stuff like that. And I've been doing that for years, probably since high school. So I've always been seen as that, she'll give you, and I'm always going to be fair. I'm not going to take one side over the other. I like to lay it out and tell you what's pros and cons for you and what's pros and cons if you choose to go the other way. So I've always been that person, and people started saying, you need a talk show or something, and podcast kind of came about. And I wanted to do the podcast back in it was before the pandemic, back in 2016. It's right when it first started. And I didn't capitalize on it back then, and I just kind of drugged my butt until people kept saying, you need to start the podcast. So when pandemic hit, like a lot of us, it made you think about where you at, where you want to be in your life. And I said, you know what, I'm going to do this podcast because I've been putting it out forever. Started October 2021 and been doing it ever since.
So for you, how has it been? Because I know there are goods and bads to podcasting. There is. So in your experience so far, what's been your bads, your highs, and your lows?
It's you feel fulfilled at the beginning. You feel like, I'm finally doing something. I want my voice to be heard and things like that. But then you feel nervous. For me, I was nervous. Then I felt scared. Then I felt, what are you going to talk about? Who wants to listen to you, type of thing. But then I also felt peace, and I'm like, it's time to put it out there. Just put it out there. Doesn't matter what people say. You put it out in the universe and let the universe figure it out. So then I just kept telling myself that, and I started going and going. Those are the positives. Some of the challenges is getting a following, meeting real people that will actually help you and kind of show you. I realize in that Facebook world, some of these groups, you're trying to learn, you're starting out, and some of them are cool and they're giving you valid information, and some of them are just BS bullshit. You're like, you know, y'all over here probably selling porn and not trying to, you know, that kind of stuff. So I saw a lot of that when I was starting out, and you know, so just beware of the fake and phony. People will reach out saying, "Oh, I can help you grow your following, and overnight you'll have 20,000 views. You'll have all this. Give me $200." That. So you have to look out for that if you're new and you've never done this and you don't have anybody really connect off. You're researching on your own. You just got to be careful about the lines and the type of people you come across, and make sure they're legit people trying to help you and teach you.
So do you have any personal war stories? Because I got a whole bunch.
Oh, I do. Like, it happened to me twice. They were like, "Oh, I can help you grow your thing." Da, da, da. Cash App, didn't hear from them. Happened to me twice.
Wow.
Twice. And I tried to report. Of course, I do report their Cash App though, but you know, you don't get your money back. So
then why report? That makes no sense.
You do not get your money back. It's just like, oh, it's gone. So yeah. And I'm not that type of person. I wasn't raised to be telling people one thing and then doing something else or trying to get your money. I wasn't raised to be like that. So I don't understand people who make time for that, but just know, y'all, it's a lot of people out there that make time just for that. So.
Yeah, they're vultures just sitting around, just waiting and lurking.
Waiting to scam somebody and to say, "Cash App, be this, I'll do this." Beware, it's bad. It's real bad.
It is, and I can say from experience, me starting, well, you've been in there longer than me, but me starting and trying to, gain a following, it's best thing I can tell you. You have to keep promoting, no matter what. You always have to get yourself on different podcasts, because that's how you're able to build and grow, by exposing yourself more and more. And it's just promote. No matter if it's the same.
That's what I've been doing. I had to learn to do that. They was like, "No, just post it 10 times a day. It could be the same thing. It doesn't matter."
Yeah, and trust me, someone's going to see it, and someone will share it, and it gets seen by different people. But the word when it comes to podcasting is consistency. It really is, and I was told that by a lot of different people, especially one that I have worked with a couple times. She is a podcaster out of San Diego. That's what she said. Well, you gotta just promote, be consistent at least 2-3 times a day, and you'll see it. And my following has grew exponentially.
Oh, wow.
Not that I'm boasting. I'm really not, because I'm a year in it, but it's still. That's how I was able for you and I to come in contact, because I'm in different groups, being honest about, what I'm looking for. So, but I don't fall for, I don't fall for those scams. Even I'll go into my DMs and I'll see, "Hey, you want followers? Give me $100. No, I'm good. I'm good. I could take that $100 and do with something else. So, and then knowing your SEOs, that's a different one, which stands for search engine operations or something. Yeah. So you gotta know that as well. Now, I picked up a lot of things by listening to your episodes. They are dope. They really are. And one of them that came to mind is you say that in your purse you carry the word around inspiration. When did you start doing that, and why?
I went to a crystal class. You know how a place that sells crystals and rocks and stuff, which I've always been fascinated, but didn't know much about it. Ended up at one of those, and the lady, they were selling crystals, and a lot of them had the affirmations. And we did this exercise, told us to close our eyes and just pick a rock. You didn't know which one you're going to get. And I picked up inspiration. So I said, "I'm going to put this in my purse and just keep it with me." Been hearing it ever since. So it's been about 2 years now that I've had it.
Okay. Now, being a woman, I know you got a lot of different purses. Do you take the rock out and put it? Wow. Okay.
I make sure it's in my wallet part, because I just moved the wallet to a different purse. Yeah.
Damn. And so with that carrying around, how inspired do you feel every day?
Very. I felt like I prayed and meditated over to bring my own energy to it. So now it's like a protection piece. I feel like it protects me from accidents. I've been in accidents, and the last 2 accidents I was in, somebody rear ended me, but thank God I was always fine. Car was, but that was replaced. No biggie there. But I just feel like I've been in situations where I know I could have not been protected, but I was protected, and everything worked out. So I just really feel like my energy is with the rock now. So now it's like I take it everywhere I go. If I travel, it's in my wallet. Like I keep it. So.
Wow. I
Mhm.
remember I used to have a rock, and this no, I used to have one, and I have found it when I was a kid, and I kept it for like 10 years. But then,
Mhm.
sort of like I just now I
Stop
keep
hearing
it.
it.
No, I stopped carrying it, but it's like a keepsake to me now because I've had it for so long that I don't ever want to like part ways from it
Yes.
because it there's a almost a sense of attachment there
Mhm.
and a sense of protection at the same time. So when I heard that and I was listening, I'm like, you know what? I got a rock just like that.
Mhm.
I really
It
do.
works. I mean, it works. You do whatever works, but that's worked for me. I really
Hey,
feel like it stopped certain energies coming my way that could have messed my day up or hurted me or whatever. So,
so let me ask you this: if or when redo this episode and people are listening, what would be the mantra for this episode?
find your rock.
Find your rock. Nice. I like that. And why
Mhm.
do they need to find their rock?
And what I mean by find your rock, on the lines of what I did, be intentional. If you live by the beach, walk the beach. It has a lot of stones and rocks that come up the shore. Close your eyes one day, walk, and just pick up a rock. That is your rock. What does it mean to you? What inspires you? You can name it that. You can bless it with that energy. Um, you can find a rock just in the woods. You can find a rock if you're climbing a mountain. I mean, there's rocks anywhere. I would say just find wherever your city has them. Walk with your eyes closed and just pick up one. Just bend down where you know you're going to touch one and pick up one, and that will be your rock. And you should know what it means to you. What do you feel? What is your purpose? What do you feel like if you could choose anything you want to do in this world and you have to get up every day and do it and you feel like you would do it with a smile on your face, what is that? Because whatever that is, that's where you should align yourself. So
Wow, so inspirational.
so find your rock.
Wow, it just doesn't get no better than that. That is so inspirational to those who are listening. And so Miss P Nicole, so tell me, well, me and everybody else, just more about you, like a little bit of your background as to how you got to where you are when it comes to you being such a intellectual woman from how you're speaking to where it's just like now you give knowledge to those who might not be knowing.
I guess it'll start with childhood. Grew up. My parents were divorced, but both were in my life. Did dad's house on weekends, holidays, things like that. But my parents both stayed in the same city, so I could see my dad whenever I wanted. So I
Mm-hmm.
do feel like that matters. Just having both parents in your household, getting the woman's perspective versus the man's perspective on as you grow, as you make decisions and things like that. So started there. So I was always raised to be independent. If I feel like something is, I was always taught if I feel like something is not right and my spirit don't agree, then don't do it and don't ever feel forced to do it. So I've always followed that. Just being a real grounded person, my parents taught me how to be very grounded as well. So that was another aspect of it. So all of those combined, leading up to high school, college. Like I said it before, people always wanted my advice because I was always the friend that, oh well, we know she's gonna be fair, so let's ask her what she thinks. So, and then people say, you should be getting paid for this. You get really great advice, and I was like, it's just what I think. But I also spent a lot of time when my mom passed in 2010, which I think this was the spiritual jump. You know, when you lose somebody close, you start looking for answers. At least I did. Start looking for answers to what is life, why am I here, that type of answer. I was heavy into religion. I was raised Baptist. So when I went through that period, I wanted to learn about all religion. I read the Buddha book. I read Islam. I read Christianity. I just read all of them. And then I read about spirituality. And then that grew into we are born here for a reason. We are born here for a purpose. And the saddest thing is a lot of people walk this earth and never get to live their purpose. And I've always envisioned in my own head, in my own dreams, what a world would look like if everybody on this earth was living in their purpose. And they were happy and they were able to maintain their livelihood, whatever the livelihood they wanted it to be. But more importantly, they were happy about what they did and why they did it because they knew it was their purpose. I was like, imagine how that world would look. You know, I really keep that in the back of my mind with every podcast that I put out. So that's where my thought process is always at. How would that look? Because I know it would look a lot better than here. You know.
Yeah.
So.
And with you doing your podcast, so how do you enjoy it? To where are you just recording in a specific place, or is wherever you feel?
Wherever I feel. I write notes. I keep notes in my phone weekly. I could be driving in traffic and someone hit me. I'll wait till I can pull over quickly because I don't want to lose the thought. Jot it down. Jot it down. Jot it down. Then I'll meditate on this particular week. What was bothering me? What was on my mind? And typically, whatever that is for my own self, that's the title of that podcast for that week. So stuff can hit me at any time. I get inspiration from watching the birds chirp, like something that hit me off of that. Anything hits me, you know. So because I try to be very in tune with all the things around me, the trees, everything, the animals, everything. The people not so much, because most of us is the ones with the evil spirits. All the other species are pure, innocent. They don't think like us. They're not on no evil stuff like that. So.
Wow.
Yeah.
Jesus, you're an inspiration to us all.
Like I said, I read a lot of stuff. I read a lot of books back then, spirituality books. That kind of stuff will lead you on different paths. If people know, then they know. So you gain the knowledge, and then you wake up one day and stuff start making sense, and it's like pouring into your mind. Boom, boom. That's why that. This is what it should be like, you know. That's how it works for me. So I have to jot stuff down. Because I'm the type, if I don't, I can say something to you today, and tomorrow I'm not gonna remember one answer I told you. I'm that. It just comes from in here. So once I'm done and I put it out there in the universe, I'm done with it. I don't, because people say, you remember when you said that? And I was like, I don't remember saying it. You know, but I know I did because it's on my podcast, but I don't remember. So it's just, I put out what's pure at that time, what came from my heart and spirit at that moment in time. That's what I'm gonna say.
Now, when you are recording, do you have a certain amount of time, or you just talk until you get the thought out, and then whatever you come up with, that's what it is?
I talk until I get the thought out. And some of them have been longer than others, as you know. The ones recently have been kind of short because I'm big on my feeling and energy when I do stuff. So they've been a little short because I've been a little uneasy about just our world, and I get like that sometimes. So my podcast will probably be shorter when I'm in that mode. But then sometimes I'll get the urge to, hey, no, this is gonna be a longer one because a lot of stuff you got to get off your chest. But it's just whatever I need to get off the chest, and then once I put it out there, I'm done. So I don't base it by a certain time. They just end up whatever time they end up.
I hear that. Now, with your podcast, do you fall into a certain category, or you just feel like you're all over the place?
My podcast is originally et cetera podcast. I want to bridge the gap between millennium women and modern day women. Modern day 1950s, stayed at home, moms raised their families, could clean, all that. Versus 2022 women, they work too, they burn at home. Maybe the dad probably wasn't cooking and cleaning out, so totally different. I felt like we can learn from each other, each generation. So, because I feel like we've been divided. It's more like, oh, well, we still do it like this, and y'all do it like, well, we can both learn from each other. So that was my goal, to bridge the modern and the millennium woman. So I feel like I'm in that mode, but as I'm growing and I'm getting feedback, it's for men too. So people are like, well, I think you're for men too. So it'll be for both. Both can gain from it. So I wouldn't just pigeonhole yourself just to cater to women, because stuff you talk about, I feel is catered to men too. So they can relate. So now I'm thinking probably broaden it up,
Now, where do you fit in between this?
The modern and the millennium?
Yep.
Dead in the middle. That's where I understand both sides. I was born in 82. So I grew up, I was in a generation where I remember when we were in high school and we got our first email. They told us, create your email. It was like brand new, first time. So I remember that. But I also remember our generation, we had to do book reports and go to the actual library and pull the card. There was no Google. There was none of that. So we came up when that internet started building up. So that's why I understand both sides. I believe in, as a wife, I'm a cook, clean for my family because I saw my grandmother do it. I saw my mom do it. But I do have some friends that's married and they feel like, no, he needs to do that, or he needs to help, or whatever the case may be. So like I said, I get both sides, but I just think we should bridge together. We can learn from each other. You can get pointers from them and they can get pointers from you. That's how I look at it.
Wow. I don't mind cooking and cleaning. I don't. I just rather pick one or the other. Honestly.
Yeah. You don't want to do both, is what you're saying.
No, I can do both. It's just maybe we just pair. One picks one over the other. So
that's what I feel. And I feel if both parties work, then we both should help with cleaning and cooking at times because we both work. So
And then I'll cook and I'll make you the best bowl of microwave water you ever had.
And then they'll say, never mind. I got it.
Nah, I can cook. I got no issues with that. It's just when you tell a woman I could cook, oh, you could cook, yeah. And they'll be like, well, it's not fried chicken. I'm like, no, there's other things than fried chicken that you can cook. I can make sauces from scratch and blow people's mouths. Yeah, it's trial and error because I think cooking is almost like math. You find the right recipe it's going to work the same over and over again. But people have very low tolerance for patience and they don't know. They don't want to be They don't want to be in here burning trying to figure out you can make this from scratch. You can make a sauce from scratch. It's not that hard. You just gotta have all your ingredients. Not start it, then go out and leave, and then get something else and come back, and you're not gonna feel like it. Nah. So I like to try new things. I do.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yes. A man that can cook to me is an asset. So.
Yeah, because we won't always have to be out all the time eating out because that shit is expensive and then it's not even helpful for you. It's not. I always give this example, say, just for instance, hypothetically, you and I, we go out on a date, right? We just pick a restaurant. We get in there, we wait 10 minutes to sit down. We wait another 10 minutes to order and another 10 minutes to get our food. That's 30 minutes right there. And that same 30 minutes, we could have been here cooking that same food and it instantly would have came out fresh, hot, and we made everything with fresh produce and whatever. So we save more in the long run than actually going out and letting someone else do it. And then we both get back here oh, I don't feel well. Yeah, because it's pre-processed. So trying to figure out who's going to use the bathroom first. I don't know. But yeah, men out here are they're not appreciated for cooking, I want to say, for lack of better terms. No. And if you know how and if you can, that's great. That's great. Always know that a woman will love a man cook because you can sit here and watch me cook and not lift a finger. Exactly. And I find that, very interesting, and I do, but that's just me. So
right.
Well, what else I got for you? Okay, so as far as your podcast goes, when people listen, what is something you want them to take away from it?
I want them to take away, are you closer to finding your rock yet? And if you haven't, what are you doing to get there? I also want them to be encouraged, but I mainly want them to evolve. We are all here to get better, I feel. Each year you get, the even better you should be striving for. And that's internally. I'm not just talking about physically, internally. Doing that work too. So I want you to, once you listen to one of my podcasts, feel like internally, am I good? Have I done the work? Or am I getting closer to finding my rock and my purpose? Or do I need to detour, change, update, edit some things to get there? That's the feeling I want them to feel.
And now, do you listen to your own episodes?
Very seldom, just to see if the sound, and sometimes I don't even do it because some of the longer ones, some of the ones that or the most listened to ones, those are the ones I don't listen back to. So
I disagree. Weird. I really disagree. I think that you should listen because by listening to yourself, you can hear yourself and know. And how do I say this? And know, it's coming, but it's always good just to hear it.
Feel that
sometimes.
emotion. Yeah.
Yes. And then you have a better understanding. You're like, okay, this is going to be a good one because I know all the stuff that I've did. There have been some episodes, me doing the playback, I've hated. Other ones I've loved just because, the whole writing aspect has been great. So sometimes it doesn't always sound like what is going to be off the paper. But just hearing your own playback, man, I think that's the most fulfilling thing is just listening to your own self. To me personally. So it's just something you should do. Maybe you don't have to, but it's always good to hear what you're saying before you even, hit whatever the term is.
I know what you mean. You know what you think.
Okay. Yeah. Before you hit record and let everybody else, hear what you got coming. So it's always nice. Yeah, it's always good to hear. And then if you don't like it, you can redo it again, and then you know what not to say, how to phrase it, or anyway. That way, it doesn't come off in a way to where it's offensive in air quotes for the disruptive people out there.
Yeah.
So to wrap this up, tell people where they can find your podcast at, how they can listen to you, hit you up.
It's etc. podcast. So that's 3 etceteras. We're on Spotify, Apple, Google, Overcast, and Anchor. The Instagram is ETC3 podcast on Instagram. So that's ETC3 podcast on Instagram. And then the YouTube page is etc. podcast. And we recently started that. So I got a couple of things posted, but I'm going to start posting more there. And the Facebook is etc. podcast Facebook group.
And please, y'all people need to go listen. If y'all need,
that's another thing I struggle with. So all these social media platforms, you have to, and it's like, no, you need to be on all of them and start a page. I was like, this is a lot. It's a whole job.
Yeah, it is, but it's worth it because you reach more and more people from different places, and when they gather up, woo, it's a lot.
Okay, you said woo.
It can be overwhelming. I know there could be a day to where I'm just at the computer posting and responding and commenting and
do you make sure to do that, respond and comment?
Yes, I try my best. I really do. To those who do comment on anything that is said, but it's always nice to know what the engagement is. So
right.
So
it's a job to do all of that, guys. It is.
And I want to ask you this: do you own your name?
Yes, I have it LLC.
No. Now, do you own your name like through like Namecheap or something else? Like you actually go and you register the name, and then you have rights. Yes. So
I need to do that. You got to send me the info.
I will do that. And I've learned this myself. Like so. When I started doing research on my podcast, Sarcasm Orgasm, there was already a podcast called it. Already. So what I had to do was I had to go buy the naming rights for a year. And then, no, actually I bought it for 6 months. And then when it got to like the 5th, 6th month, they gave me a reminder. So I bought it for 10 years. That way no one can ever have any rights to it, no matter what.
Oh, wow.
Because I own both Sarcasm Orgasm and Sarcasms and Orgasms. I own both of them. So no one can take anything. So I've learned that.
I did not know that. Yes, send me that.
I will send you that.
That's awesome.
Yes.
See, that's the kind of stuff we need. Stuff like that to learn from each other.
You have to, because someone said this to me. Do you want podcasting to be a hobby or a business? Because yes, so you have to do the extra stuff that's necessary, like having a website, owning the naming rights. Like if you want to do any type of merch, you have to have rights to the name to be able to do that, because someone can take the money for you and sue you, and then you'll be out. Yeah.
See, we need this.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot.
It's a lot to it. Yeah, you're constantly learning.
I'm still learning, and I've been a year in, still learning. But overall, thank you so much
Thank
I'm
you.
so happy, man. I know we've been trying to do it for
I
these two and a
know.
half months. So
Like forever. They have no idea, but it's taking a while, guys.
yeah,
Taking a
but
while.
definitely
And
thank
I
you
like
so much.
your podcast too. Before we close, I want you to know that I think you're intelligent in your commentary. I think you're smart, but you're funny as hell. I love you're hilarious to me.
Well,
So I really like your style. I like your style.
well, I appreciate that. I try to be one of one. I try to be different in a way to where it's thought provoking, but it's funny. It
Funny,
makes you
yeah, I
think. It's
get
not
it.
too
It's
serious,
not too
and
serious,
yeah,
yeah.
we have way too many serious people on in the podcasting space because everybody wants to do the same thing, and I don't
Hmm.
like doing that. I like picking things that is relevant. Just like when I see your comment, about the like I was serious because that one came up because I was flying from New York from Buffalo to
Hmm.
Phoenix, and I overheard these girls. They were complaining while I was waiting for my flight. I'm like, So I wrote down a little sketch, and then I recorded it, did the edits, and everything. So things around us, there could be so much comedy in it, but people
Hmm.
just don't look at that. They just
You're
want to
right.
take the serious aspect of it. So,
Hmm.
but thank you
That's
so
true.
much. I appreciate it. I do.
No, you're doing a good job. Great job.
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Cole. So, people, remember, if you want to go and hit her up and follow her, listen to her, she is dope. I'm saying this personally because I've listened to a lot of her episodes. Man, she has a lot of good words of wisdom. She's got some great mantras that everybody can use in their day to day
Hmm.
life. There's nothing there. There's so much ugly in this world. She has a
Hmm.
really great podcast that is positive, that tells you it's okay. You can get through it. Just believe in yourself, and she is a really good one. So I co-sign it. I recommend it.
Thank
So
you.
you need to go check her out, please, for me. So this has been another episode of Sarcasm and Orgasms. I've been joined by my guest host, Miss P. Nicole from the etc. podcast. Make sure you go check her out everywhere, and you'll learn a lot because I know I did. So thank you so much, Miss Nicole. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
No problem. So remember, guys, I'll talk to y'all all soon, and y'all take care.
Yeah, yeah, said I'm better than. Yeah, yeah, said I'm better than I ever been. Yeah, said I'm better than. Yeah, said I'm better than I ever been. You made me better than I've ever been. You call me your only friend. She said I'm your vibe to the very end. So it's better than.